Hey guys, happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, May 2nd, 2019. I'm here with my friend Jason Braddock, who is got a great story, a couple of great stories. So I'm super excited to have him on the show. Obviously, we need you to let us know you can hear us and see us. It would be really sad if we did an entire show and you couldn't hear what Jason has to say. So it usually takes a minute. Give us a minute. Talk about, give us a thumbs up. Christina Felix, what's going on? Give us a heart and a thumbs up. Let us know you can see us. I know Christina's going to love this jacket because she's awesome. Maxine, what's going on, Maxine? So give us a heart and a thumbs up because that's super important. I did one show once where there was no vocals at all, and people just kept commenting. I'm like, how do you, they were reading lips. And so I couldn't do anything with that show. So, all right, people are on and they're not saying anything bad, so we're in good shape. All right, so welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about you. Everybody wants the origin story. They want to know a little bit about Jason. And of course, we're going to get to that cool title that he created, how Star Wars Day basically changed his life, impacted his life, trajectory of his life. So welcome.
I mean, I guess with the Avengers movie just coming out, you want the origin story of Jason Braddock. That's fine.
Right?
Not the right movie, Ted, but we're.
I'm sorry.
I'll feed off of their popularity. I'm good with that. So, origin story: born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Came down to Orlando last year. We've been coming over and over for a couple months at a time for the last 10 years. Got married back in 2007. So Star Wars Day was an important day, but before Star Wars Day became an important day to me, my wife and I had met July 13th, 2005.
What a good husband to know that date.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better. We got engaged July 13th of 2006.
Oh, this makes your life easier.
And then we got married on July 13th, Friday the 13th, on 2007.
Okay, so you have no problem with anniversaries.
I can't. If I miss that date, I am
so
dead.
Bad. You're done.
I am done. It gets better though. It gets better. So 7-13, our two favorite numbers are 7 and 13. Her engagement ring, while small, is 0.7 by 0.13 on either side.
Oh,
custom made
awesome.
Because she didn't want something big and wanted it more meaningful. So we made it more meaningful, and so that's what we did.
How did you meet her?
Country line dancing.
Okay, this is why I do no research, because you never know what's going to come out of somebody's mouth.
I have
Country line dancing? I have to picture that for a minute.
I have been line dancing ever since I was in high school. 10, 12 years later, she starts line dancing because she starts college, and I had been doing it for 10, 12 years. She's like, you know what, let's follow this guy. He seems to know what he's doing.
Nice. Yeah, how did you get in? So is this still in Ohio?
It was still in Ohio.
So how did you... I mean, I got to keep going back. I'm sorry. How did you get into country line dancing?
I liked country music. I was a big Garth Brooks fan, and I had some friends that said, you know what, you don't have to be ashamed of who you are. We also like country music. There's a club that we go to. Why don't you come out, learn how to dance with us? We'll make it was a bunch of nerds getting together, and I don't have a groove whatsoever. So
line dancing is great because you really don't have to have one.
Exactly.
You have to be able to follow instructions and remember the steps.
You have to count to 8 and repeat.
That's all you get. But how awesome is that? That's such I would have never guessed this about you, right? All right. So why did you move here? What was the change? What did you need to do? And what were you doing up in Ohio other than line dancing?
So I had worked 12 years in K-12 education, did part-time real estate on the side.
That's right, you're an educator.
I am.
What grade?
I was high school math for 6 years.
Wow.
So I have a plethora of math skills, statistics skills that help sell houses even faster.
Yes, we talked about this way over my head. We'll talk about that later. I love it.
But then I moved into administration, and administration routes. I worked in curriculum. I was a principal for a year in middle school. And I quickly decided that wasn't quite for me during my first year as a principal. I had spent 3 years as a curriculum director, 1 year as a middle school principal, which totally broke me. And that's kind of...
What was it about it? Is it because the school system is so overloaded, or was it just that you weren't engaged with the students enough?
I was engaged with the students a lot. I knew every one of my students by name. I knew a lot of their backstories. It was not necessarily the students or the system that broke me. It was my first gig, and I was given a shot, and I was loving it. And then my son that spring was born on May the 4th. So therefore, this is the Star Wars tie-in here.
Oh, that's Star Wars Day.
Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you.
I got you.
So he was born on May the 4th. Happy, healthy, could be, he has a bigger following on Facebook now than I do. He has almost 1,200 people following his page.
Wow.
We took him from the hospital. He was our second born. Like I said, happy, healthy as can be. And then a week later, we took him back and said, you know what, he's broken. Fix him. And
what was wrong? What were some of the things that were going on? And I know you're going to tell us the diagnosis at some point.
Sure.
What was going on that you said, okay, this is not right?
Well, during feedings, he would latch and unlatch from the breast, wouldn't take a bottle. I know some kids they don't like the breast. So we tried the bottle, we tried formula, we tried this formula, we tried that formula. We couldn't get him to feed because he was struggling to breathe.
Oh.
And,
okay.
When you're struggling to breathe, either that's something with the respiratory, or as like we found out, it's something with the cardiac. Lungs and heart go together.
And no tests prior, or because how old is he now?
He is going to be 3.
Right, 3 this weekend.
This weekend, yeah.
So did you have none of the tests or sonograms or anything showed anything?
No, we had all the prenatal stuff done. My wife, leading up to the pregnancy, we had miscarriage from our in between the 2 babies. So she had to take blood thinners, 2 shots in her stomach every single day, and because she was high risk from that.
It's amazing.
So that broke us first, and then when we took him in the hospital and they finally gave us the diagnosis, the doctor said, you know what, there's nothing that you could have done. There's nothing that they could have caught.
Right.
The symptoms that he has wouldn't even shown up before you brought him in. He's like, you would have to have an expert cardiologist and an expert EKG person there in the room prenatal to catch anything.
So what was actually the diagnosis?
So he had 2 issues. One was a coarctation of the aorta. So he had a pinched aorta valve, which was about, I want to say 13 millimeters big. Something so small could cause such a big problem.
Right.
And that was the big issue that they had to fix first. So they fixed that issue at 3 weeks old.
That's got to be so stressful. I can't even imagine.
Well, it was stressful leading even up to that surgery. When the cardiologist pulled me into the room the next morning, we took him in the emergency room, told him the symptoms, and they took him right back. And right there's the big sign, like you don't walk into an emergency room and they take you straight back.
Right.
They're like, we're gonna keep him overnight, do some tests in the morning, do some pictures of his heart, figure out what's happening. So that's what they did. And in the morning, he pulled me aside and goes, see this little pinch right here, this little hole right here? That's what's going to cause the issues. And if you didn't catch those symptoms like you did, and we're amazed that you caught those symptoms like you did, we would be having this conversation on autopsy.
Wow.
And I was like,
wow.
Right. You're lucky my wife's not in the room right now. Right. But thank you for acknowledging that we were diligent in recognizing the signs.
Well, you have an older child, right?
We do.
So, if you have multiple children and you have one that just kind of goes through in a quote-unquote normal way, thank God he was your second, because you may not have been able to identify the difference.
Right. Something just didn't feel right,
yeah.
And we kept harping on it, and we would take him and go, okay, let's... my first one was perfect, above perfect pregnancy, 41 weeks, over 8 pounds, no complications whatsoever. So when he was born and the cord was wrapped around the neck and things like that, and we saw a whole different story. But
Sure.
the staff at Akron Children's was phenomenal. I mean, from birth all the way through his surgeries.
Awesome. All right, so tell us about, hey, Yvonne, what's happening? Tell us a little bit about that process. So he has to have surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Was it one surgery, multiple surgeries? Was it all good after the first one? How did that all play out?
So the first one was at 3 weeks old. He had to have coarctation of the aorta, where they cut out a piece of the aorta and then they stitch it back together. That one, they went actually through his ribs, through the back of through his back, which kind of was like, his heart's here. Why are you going to go through his back?
And he's so little. That's all I can think about is he's so little at that point.
At that point, he had lost weight from birth, so he was less than 7 pounds, and he was struggling. So they fixed that one, and then they were like, you know what, we could do both at the same time, but it's a lot harder on him, and it will be a lot harder to recover.
Sure.
So they said, you know, let's fix this one. This one will give him all the blood in his body. While the other problem is secondary, we can fix it at a later date. So we want him to grow, get stronger, get heavier, and go from there. So the second surgery was a super weird position. Almost everybody has some kind of hole in their heart. And
Did not know that.
most of us have very small holes that are undetectable by even EKG or sonogram. And some of us, those holes close after a while. Well, his was in a weird location, and it was pretty big. So they call it a supracrystal ventricular septal defect.
Isn't that horrible? You have to know that. It just
VSD for short.
There you go.
VSD
Like,
for
the
short.
fact that you have to learn that and talk about it all the time.
That one's not the hard one. It was all the medicines and all the procedures, and you know, the talking about the 3D printing of his heart so that he could practice before they go in and do it, because it's so small and such a weird place. Talking about the procedures of dropping his body temperature to like 40 degrees so that they can do the open heart surgery at 3 months old.
I mean, I'm freaked out for you, right? So
Right.
and what I think people don't realize, it's the same if you're going through any kind of trauma, any kind of treatment, anything you're doing for your. I told you somebody would call you, and my son, of course.
Of course.
You still have to go on with your life, because your life has to continue, because you still have to pay the health insurance, and you still have another child.
Yeah.
Who doesn't really probably understand what's going on, so it doesn't make really any sense to them. And so you still have to figure out how to do day-to-day activities, and you're stressed out to the max.
We were very fortunate to have a lot of family support that took our first child with Aurora and watched her while we basically stayed night after night in a hotel, or they call it a hotel. It was a hotel to us. It was a hospital to him, and we stayed at his bedside, one of us, if not both of us, every night until it happened. So I did put life on hold.
Right.
There's nothing that you can't do or won't do for your child.
Right.
The insurance was there. I had the time built up as an educator.
Thank God.
As a, and I used it, and my employer was very understanding of that. So I was very thankful for that.
And how is he doing today?
Oh, he is happy, healthy, ornery as can be. You could hardly even tell.
I love it.
Other than scar on his back of his ribs, and then a scar right down his chest. Even in the scar, you had expert surgeons, and you had whoever stitched him up was an expert seamstress.
And so how did that impact you? How did that impact your life? And how, I mean, we talk about how Star Wars Day, which is May 4th, obviously, changed your life. But what were the longer term, even in the shorter longer term, you know what I mean? After everything's done, what did you change in your life? And how did that all play out?
So my staying in the hospital, even though you're surrounded by extremely good food and healthcare experts saying, you need to get out, you need to take care of yourself. If you need a counselor, we have counselors. Our cafeteria is stocked full of healthy choices. Go take a walk. Make sure you get out of here. Go downstairs to the family center and sleep down there instead of sleeping on the recliner. They were trying to motivate you, but the only thing your mind was on was, the health of your child.
Yep.
And it took a big toll on us mentally and emotionally, obviously, but it took a bigger toll, I think, on me physically. I mean, the eating wasn't great, but the stress weight just pounded on top of me. That year, again, first year principal, middle school principal, and it was a stressful job. Inner city, one of the roughest, biggest school districts in Ohio, and I had no experience. And so I only gained like 10 pounds that whole year as a principal. Over those 3 months during his surgery 1 to surgery 3, or surgery 2, I had gained about 30 pounds.
Wow.
I shot up to about 252 pounds.
Wow.
And my normal before that was about 200.
So you're carrying all this weight, so that's added stress on your body too.
Yeah, added stress on the body. My wife won't say it, but she's like, I never realized. And now I'm liking what I'm seeing a lot better. And I go, okay, all right, I'm getting the hint. I'll keep losing weight. I'll keep getting healthier, and not just for you, but I need to be around for him. I need to be around for my daughter. So that was my motivating factor. Was if he can make it through 2 heart surgeries, I can make it through this weight loss.
What'd you do different? What did you change? Obviously, of course, if you're in a hospital, you're going to eat whatever's there, and it is healthy because they have to do hospital standards, but it doesn't matter. You're still going to gain weight. You have no real exercise. You're not walking anywhere except from floor to floor. So what did you do different to make that change?
So my father-in-law and some of his friends had gone through this diet program that was proving very successful. They had lost 30, 35 pounds or whatever. And I said, you know what, if that's working for you, I might as well give it a shot. So I bought into the program. It was like one of those like Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig kind of things. They don't have it down here in Florida, unfortunately, and they actually pulled out of Ohio. Now they just do it online. But I started that program, bought into it, paid a pretty penny. It was a lot of whole eating, healthy foods, did a lot of supplements and their little snacks, but I was losing about 8 pounds a month, healthily. And
so important.
It took me 10 months to lose 80 pounds.
That's a lot of weight.
That is a lot of weight. I got down to 167 pounds and I was feeling fabulous. The diet part, I lost 50 pounds before I even started to exercise because I wanted to see how far I can get.
So what did that look like? Did you get rid of processed foods? Did you eat bread? Did you eat carbs? There's so many things out there.
Absolutely, and it was very strict. I mean, they give you a list of all the foods that you can choose from each of the categories. They tell you a lot of different rules about what not to eat, when to eat. But past that, they gave you recipes so it didn't taste bland and you.
Right. That's a challenge. That's why
is huge.
It's very hard for people to. I believe it's very hard for people to go on any kind of quote unquote new diet, healthy diet, because they don't know how to spice things. They don't know how to flavor things. They don't know how to flavor it so it's right according to the diet that they're on.
So it was low carb, healthy carb when you did eat. So sweet potatoes, rice, brown rice, not white. Jicama, which I never even heard of.
I love jicama.
Never heard
Got
of
a
it.
nice spicy kick.
It's
to
like
it.
an apple.
It's basically it's an apple.
Yeah, it's like an apple potato.
Yeah, very much
but
so.
yeah, it was low fat, and then when you did have fat, it was like a teaspoon with every meal, and it was they said vary your fat, so olive oil, butter, unsalted butter, avocado. You could have a lot of different things, but vary it up, and that was the biggest thing: was vary it up and stick to the schedule. So
And how long ago was that?
I started Christmas, the day after Christmas, because you can't start anything on Christmas.
Heck no, that's smart of you.
I was hesitant to start before New Year's, but I did. Christmas of 2016. By November of 2017, I was down 85 pounds.
So let's talk about the maintenance of that, right? So a lot of you get motivated. It's
Sure.
super easy. It's not easy. It's super. Once you get into the mix of it, it becomes easier for you to follow whatever you're following, whatever your plan is.
Sure.
But the maintenance of it, I think, is where people struggle. And so, how did that work out for you? I've tried keto.
Sure.
Atkins is long before you were born. I've tried different things. the maintenance of it is very difficult, very challenging.
And just like with anything, follow-up is always key. So I have not been as good the last year with my follow-up. So from those 85 pounds, I'm back up 30 of those. But they give you a maintenance program like, okay, now you're not allowed to eat these things while you're on the plan and losing weight.
Right.
Now you can start reintroducing yourself to these, and as you see how they affect you, then back off on them. Do this to recounter that weight gain. Didn't do that myself, but I'm working.
I like the honesty part.
I'm working back to get in there and mixing in my running again. So
you did mix exercise.
Yeah. I lost the first 50 pounds purely diet, and then after that I started running more intently. At the beginning of, this is how Star Wars Days circles back into this.
Good.
So January 2017, I ran my first half marathon.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
It was the Star Wars half light side over in California, Disneyland.
Nice.
And I finished.
You finished.
I
but
finished.
You did it.
I did it. It was, I believe my time was 3 hours and 30 minutes. I know it was 3 hours and 30 minutes.
I'm not sure I can drive 3 hours and 30 minutes, so running...
It's been a passion of mine since high school. It's just been a love-hate relationship.
It usually is.
But once I get into it, I get into that habit, that mindset, it becomes more of a love than a hate.
So tell me how through all this, you left education and became a real estate agent. So why? Because that seems completely different.
Well, let me continue with this half marathon thing
Please.
first. Because the first half marathon, I was still 250 pounds in January. Light side, Star Wars, half marathon, California. April that same year, I ran the dark side half marathon at Disney World.
Wow.
And I had lost 30 pounds and 30 minutes off my time.
Nice.
And then I said, I'm out of Star Wars half marathons to run for now. I got all my little medals, because that's the important, got to get the bling before you move on.
My friend runs those
just
for Disney, and everybody wants the medal.
Exactly. That's all you run it for.
That's all you want it for.
Well, I never stopped for the photos, because I was going for the time, and I was going for the medal. But I was doing it in commemoration of his successful heart surgeries.
That's awesome.
So I did those two, and then November, at the end of my weight loss, I had ran a third half marathon, again down here in Disney World at the Wine and Dine, and I had lost another 30 minutes.
Awesome.
And
you took a whole hour off.
Yeah.
You shaved the hour off.
Basically, I took almost 1 minute off per pound that I had lost.
Wow.
And even now, even though I've gained 30 pounds back, I've only gained 15 minutes back off my time. So
that's excellent.
This summer, I'm going to be pushing it hard on a lot of different things. So to go back to your other question, what landed us down here?
Well, because going from usually educators, there's different sides of the brain on that. You still have to be creative as an educator, but sales, real estate sales especially, they usually don't come into each other's worlds. You don't make the leap from being an educator to a real estate agent.
Well, see, and that's where the math part of me does play into nice. There's a quote from a TED Talk that I like. Not your TED Talk, but...
Don't send me a cease and desist.
Yeah, right? But the guy said, you know what, I sell a product to a generation that doesn't want the product, but is forced to have it by law. And he was talking about math education. Nobody likes math. Nobody likes numbers. They don't want to.
It's just not my favorite.
It's nobody's favorite. Originally, that's how I got into education. It was one of my favorite things, because there's a rule. There's a procedure, a process to follow.
There's logic to it.
There's logic. I'm a logical person.
I agree.
A very high D on my disc profile and a very high C as well. And I said, you know what? If I can show a student how to use math in a real life situation, and have them buy into it and into what I'm saying, I could sell anything to anybody. and for real estate purposes, I can not just sell it to you. I can find you what you're looking for.
Right.
And that's like education. I can sell you the procedure, the process for math education. it's a procedure and a process that doesn't relate to you. You can learn it, but it doesn't mean anything. So what I want to do is I want to find how does it mean something to you. How, what's going to get you to love a house, and that's how the sales part connects with, for me, is I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm a matchmaker.
You've got a different relationship with a real estate transaction than a lot of realtors do. That's a different way to approach it, I think. I think that a lot of real estate agents, business owners, it doesn't matter, they're in that sales mode, but you've really kind of tied it back to the logical part, the transaction part, for lack of a better word. And I love that. And I think, what does that do for how long have you been a real estate agent?
I've been licensed since 2007.
You've been a long time.
I've done it side by side with education ever since I started.
When did you go full time?
This last year.
Oh, you did? Okay, so
yeah.
this is new. So what do you think about being 100% on your own, an entrepreneur, a business owner, basically is what you are? Because there's lots of business owners who aren't in real estate out there that watch. What are some of the things that you would tell them to do, maybe, and then maybe a few that you might change?
I would say make the logical decision for you, what's best for you and your family, first and foremost. Love what you're doing, and make a leap of faith and just jump. Steve Harvey had a great video on YouTube. Look it up. It's called Jump. And it's
a great video.
Whatever you like, whatever you are good at, whatever you're passionate about, whatever it is, it could be mowing lawns, just do it. Because people will appreciate what you love, and they'll see the excitement in you and the excitement in what you do. And
well, there's always another day, right? So everybody's like, well, when I get this, and they set all of these milestones they have to hit before they make a leap. My thing to people always is, okay, what happens if you're gone or something goes on? Why aren't you making the leap now? Now, I tell people this also as a caveat, so nobody comes back to me looking for housing. If you don't stop paying your rent, don't stop paying your mortgage. Make sure your health insurance is in good.
Yes.
You want to make sure that you're at least sort of prepared for that, but don't use that as a crutch.
We totally took all the excuses out of the equation. We said, you know what, we don't have friends down here. We don't have family down here. We have a love for Florida. We have a love for our family. And when he broke us emotionally and mentally with all of his surgeries, we said, why are we waiting till retirement to do this?
Okay, great.
Let's just pick up and go. Let's do it now, and we'll figure it out. We make the decisions that we need to do and do the business that we need to do to make it work.
I think more people need to do that, right? I think
It's
people are
scary.
tired of working. It's very scary. People are tired of working for the man, so to speak. But there are so many opportunities. I feel like in this day and age, social media has provided that. There's just so many things that you can actually do. But God, if you're stuck in a job you hate, I would hate to get up every morning and hate what I'm doing and hate my life. And I feel like many people that I talk to are in that boat.
Yeah, and that was the thing with me, is like I didn't necessarily hate it. I didn't hate teaching students.
Right.
I didn't hate the content. Math was great. I did not like the politics. I did not like the pay and the routineness. I needed chaos. I think chaos will set you on fire, and I think once you finally hit the point of chaos, you just pour gas on it and create more chaos.
I like the chaos analogy because I think that's so important. There are people, though, if you're out there and you're stressed out listening to him talk about chaos, worker bees are fine. We need to have worker bees. We need people who clock in, clock out, get their 2 weeks vacation every year, and they contribute wholeheartedly to our world, our community, our society. If that's not your dream, don't feel bad about that not being your dream. If, on the other hand, you are like a lot of people that come on the show, have gone through it, and you're like, what the heck was I doing for so long? Why did I suffer? Why was I going through the motions of that? Then you definitely want to listen to Jason. All right. So we're going to share, see how fast it goes?
Yeah.
We're going to share all of Jason's contact information, how you can reach out to him. You want to learn more about Star Wars Day, or maybe learn more about being a realtor, or maybe learn more about what he does or what he's done differently because basically he's an entrepreneur, a business owner, and he figured out how to get through the obstacles of what life threw at him. And thank God your baby's okay. I think it's so amazing. All right, any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share before we head out?
Just excited for August 29th. Anybody that's going to the opening of Star Wars Land in Hollywood Studios, I'll see you there. I'm going to be camping out, so I'll bring a bunch of business cards. I will love to do a video with you and meet you on the fly. So
that's awesome. Didn't even know it was opening August 29th. Apparently I need to get in the know about Star Wars.
We'll talk later.
You're a joy, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, guys. We love you. We'll be back tomorrow.
Thanks for having
me. See you soon.